for sure. And as we take a look, they indeed do so. Of course, you don't want to be dealing with that if you're Polar Cortex. On the other hand, the Kai taken away by Woah Chills, and I'm a little interested in the Woah Chills composition. It's X Era Mako. That's a comp that we haven't seen in quite a bit, with Era falling out of favor. But there's one thing that's about this comp, and it's that it's easy to pilot, very reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're saying, sure, Era definitely has fallen out of the meta a little bit here. But man, when the team is go ahead support X, who's actually doing pretty well this season, you can't really go wrong, especially with Mako on your team, who's seen as like really high level goalie right now. I mean, she kind of has all those tools to make it work. And man, so respectful banning Octavia with cast to last. I mean, you just don't want to fall into that trap where you're trying to either get her out of the play or just kill her or just lose her. So it's really good to end up banning that here. And we do have Fool, getting that Kai ban like we mentioned before, and jumping onto the Atlas here. Big defensive goalie, another pretty big pick as far as this season has gone, favoring a lot of the melee goalies recently, as characters like Zentaro are getting picked a little bit more, Juliet. But either way, also having Rasmus, Juno too. Since the last patch though, Juno has taken like a slight hit though, as Mag Souls has been the one to get nerfed a little bit here, respectfully and necessary. Thank you, Aesop, for listening here. But we're getting on into it now. Everyone except for the Fool and Ken Clam taking the Spark of Agility. So we're going to be dueling in the drafts for these Sparks now, as one of these barriers is going to go down here to open goal for the side of Woah Chills. Name count looking weak right now, though, but Z has the ball, but actually gets it stolen. With a nice strike onto the bottom side there. A little unexpected for Woah Chills, and going to take that first point nicely.
Very, very nicely. I really like how just the space in the bottom side, just controlled space here. A little bit of an awkward kickoff, but I think we can expect this team of Woah Chills to start a little bit slower, right? X-Era Mako, full scaling being drafted here. Not a lot of immediate range that this team has. They got to scale to speed, but so far I think they're being able to keep up quite reliably. In ZZZ, the KO monster, the greatest damage player of history, really showing up right now.
That is facts. Z might be the greatest damage player in all of history. And just getting up in your face like that, just being a true menace, having a lot of the support with his team members too. And look at that, setting up the Maelstrom on the top side while Z and Ken Clem cover the bot and the mid. And that's perfect, what you'd like to see from this team. And slow startup indeed. Even Era isn't super great with One Awakening, but she gets something like Monumentalist to help out really big scaling late game. She gets something like Rapid Fire to keep the opposing team slowed and small. I mean, she has really great potential to just continue the support for this team.
Yeah, but that point's already over. Name Chaotic and A, so mobile, so much coverage on this team, and ZZ and Kenklam doing a little bit of ball and ballers action with the steps after the goal. Wait a second, you're stealing that one.
Yeah, it is going to be definitely a little harder for the Woah Chills team, right? Z took Siphoning Wand, sticking to their guns with just going for KOs a lot, but that's going to reduce your movement speed by a whole lot, basically all around in general, as if they don't end up getting those kills, and not even pummelers, right? So if they go for the kill and get it, we're not going to get the 30% speed, so they're really going hard on trying to get some kills, and it's going to be difficult, although they do have a barrier down here and almost get the second one, but a really nice Astral Projection there from the Fool is going to keep that barrier alive. Z looking a little bit weak, going to try to stay safe next to that barrier near the wall, wall barrier, not actual barrier. I know it's a secret term that we use in this game, but kind of a wall barrier there, as they're going to keep him out of the play for a while. He's on the top side, trying to sneak around there, though, and it's going to just be Ken Clam and Cakes holding this down until Z gets a little bit of health, but they do lose a barrier in the process. Z does get back in the game, though, and this is their chance to see if they can get this barrier down from Polar Cortex. Cakes keeps it alive here with that primary, though. Ken Clam gets an awkward dribble, but keeps himself alive here. Cakes going to go for the flip, got a strike where they were in Chaotic, and it actually ends up winning it, though, as overtime is going to roll over, and they're going to see if they can just get this barrier to keep themselves even.
Keeping it even so far. Fool with a crazy shot to the bottom side with the core speed to Name Chaotic to the bottom corner, but it bounces off the very edge of the corner. ZZ keeping possession for now. The flip goes wide, and all it takes is one overtime slime. And Name Chaotic in position as winning the strike wars against Kenklam, but Kenklam gets it forward. ZZ with the Siphoning Wand taking the Fool down. Can Woah Chills hold for a little while longer is the question, but the perfect angle from Name Chaotic right as the Fool goes down. It's a margin of pixels.
That was clutch there for Name Chaotic. Getting that primary on the top side right as the goalie goes down. Z was working on him for a little bit there and just took a little too long here. Of course, Atlas does have an ultimate that keeps you alive and heals you up. So we'll see what happens here in this draft. Of course, we have a lot Spark start. We're going to get a Spark here too, which is really big as far as the next couple of scaling situations. But Stinger, honestly, Stinger X is like one of the most deadly things that could show up, especially for Z. He's going to stick to you like really just like a bee, right? A bee on a flower here, and it's going to be tough for the enemy team to survive this in any situation. So we'll see if they can keep themselves alive. They did take a little bit of health here, though, and Cakes, unfortunately, left with Adrenaline Rush. Isn't going to be too effective here.
Yeah, it's really looking like the ZZ Comfort Zone. Siphoning Wand, like you mentioned earlier, right? Combined with that Stinger is going to make the Fool have a bad time here. The orbs being stolen, the Expanse looking temporary, and with that Celestial Intervention already gone, ZZ can get back to work.
Yeah, only one barrier down, though, here. Fool at full health right now. I can kind of feel that their strat might be like, we have Ken Cakes hold it down while Z just works on somebody for a while, but it doesn't seem to be happening just yet. X might need some cooldown, maybe something from like Perfect Form if they can find it out later, but A gets a really great Strike War win there with that secondary to grab the final barrier onto the bottom side, cannot reach, cannot run, and that is, I mean, you get hit with momentum boots, your speed turns right off, and that's like a really good strat here for Name Chaotic to kind of stick to Cakes there and maybe get a nice little whiplash to slow him down as we have A just getting on in there with that strike, and that's just what we're going to be seeing here.
Yep. It's a Ken Clam to the top side. ZZ taking down Name Chaotic for now. The orb being stolen to flip away. But again, the Celestial Intervention doing so much work. The Atlas pick perfect in the spot for the Fool. Not just the melee goalie defensive prowess, but the little bit of healing. Just keeping them barely alive. Name Chaotic barely getting the flip off and barely getting the barrier.
Yep, grabs a orb to keep himself alive too. Cakes has a primary to keep the ball away from that goal for just a moment here. Name Chaotic approaching here with the whiplash in a deadly situation, but Cakes does eventually get out of it here, though. Name Chaotic looking a little bit weak continually. Cakes does have Adrenaline Rush. They could maybe find themselves dumping some cooldowns onto Name Chaotic. Yeah, here we go. Z's starting it up here, though, trying to get him out. But they can't seem to find the situation. Again, we have the Celestial Intervention. We have Reverberation on the Fool, giving him extra cooldown, which is going to make a big situation here. Strike War for A. The flip, just a little bit too late from Cakes, and A and Name Chaotic do end up overwhelming right there and securing that point. They need one more here to get them to, this is kind of a big lead here for Polar Coretex if they end up taking this point.
Yeah, it really would be. It would put them in a very good spot. It would really limit the scaling of Woah Chills, force them into a must-win situation. And look at the meter. It's very low, but not for A, who blinks forward, gets the barriers, and now it's doomsday for Woah Chills.
Yeah, we don't have really much scaling on the X. A lot of damage on the X, but can't seem to land what they need. The Fool is keeping them alive. Again, Astral Projections comes out here, though. Cakes spending the Ensnare Drum to try to keep the ball in check here, though. Ken Clam can't seem to get hold of this ball. Z can't really get hold of the ball either, though, as we have the Expanse defending quite easily. Z is now the one who is staggered here, though. A, keeping the ball away from this barrier as much as they can. The Fool on the backside is really just an unstoppable wall situation. Woah Chills is just having the hardest time ever. They haven't scaled, and honestly, this next situation of Awakenings is all it's going to need as they send it right up to Name Chaotic, and he's going to sink it in. And this is it. This is Woah Chills' last situation, last chance to get a really valuable Awakening. Maybe just some cooldown or movement on this X is what they need.
Yeah, but it's not looking too good. The 1-2 punch has arrived. The capability to also deny the aerials perhaps, but no, it's just going to be the core speed for A, who has so much agency in this game. Even if Name Chaotic or the Fool gets taken out, this Juno is going to be doing a lot of work no matter what. As you look down the draft, though, there's a lot good for the X here, and that spec training falls all the way down to ZZZ.
Oh man, that was unexpected to see ZZZ get something pretty valuable in the side of even more damage. I mean, what's more damage than one Stinger? I guess it's specialized training, sure, but the Fool has kind of kept them in check here with this Astral Projection and a little extra cooldown. Now gets Monumentalist, which will help them defend as well with the Expanse, and we'll see if Z can get it done here. Cake's going to defend it here with the Drum and Bass up to Name Chaotic. Wins that duel there. Cake's going to keep the one alive. Ken Clam dueling here with A as well, and they get it down to ZZZ, but no problem strike shotting that one away. Again, keeping away from the double. Cakes does keep one barrier at least. ZZ has a chance against the Fool here, though. Spends the flip. Great angle to get around the expanse, and now it's in the hand of Cakes to try to fight it out here with KenClam. Lots of blobs, and they do successfully get it out one more time with the drum and bass. It's going to make it work. Down to KenClam here. See if they can get past A one more time to get the ball in the hands of Z, who's just working on punching everyone, getting some extra energy, but it's going to lose the barrier in return. I mean, this is a tough situation here for Woah Chills. Like, it's really just Cakes and KenClam against Name Chaotic and A the entire time.
Dangerous spot in overtime now. Flip available. Name Chaotic good instead of drums from Cakes right on time. But the Slimes keep on going. Too many hits to deal with the flip burn from Cakes. And now it's ZZZ on the chopping block. This X is too squishy at the moment. KenClam's got to do some magic here with the NATO perhaps. Setting up for ZZZ. But the core speed again just gets it out of the corner. Cakes has to do some magic to the bottom side. The Fool's flip is burned. And a great primary coming out from Cakes to slow it down. But Name Chaotic has so much mobility right now.
Yeah, really love that defense there from Cakes, and they do eventually find it. They find the kill in ZZZ, giving them the power play and a whole insane amount of advantage in this point. We'll see if they can keep it alive here. KenClam and Cakes against the world right now. As we're going to have Name Chaotic move forward, we're going to send the ensnare drums. It's going to be just long enough to get ZZZ back on the board, and we'll see if we can land a point. It's actually going to go straight past the Fool here. KenClam, with just a straight line shot, is just good enough. The Fool can't get there in time, and Woah Chills keeps himself alive on this board.
Keeping themselves alive, looking for a little bit more here perhaps. That was magical, the way they got that last point. I thought it was over for them.
It did feel over, I'll say it. Team has enough determination to keep this one alive, though. ZZZ spends the X Maximus. Can't get too much off it, though. Cakes gets stuns, but keep that one alive. Survives the Death's Touch, but we're going to lose one barrier there, as we're definitely out of cooldowns at this point. Going to lose one barrier on the other side as well. KenClam, okay, we got a flip here from Cakes on up over to the Fool. KenClam and Z have a situation where they can almost triangulate here, but they do keep Name Chaotic out of the play, which is maybe something that they need here just to get themselves enough, like, time. And that's what they need against the Fool, against Atlas. You need just a little bit more time, and they do finally get that barrier away. Name Chaotic still can't really get into the play with the threat of ZZZ there, and they can almost get this nice pass play going here. Name Chaotic against the world once again. All three players are here, and now ZZZ is going to make quick work of Name Chaotic.
KenClam down to the bottom side, forcing out the expanse. Big cooldown burned, and a big opportunity for Woah Chills. ZZZ, what a perfect shot to the bottom corner.
KenClam with that great pass on over to him as well. And the team, they make it happen. They survive. They finally get Name Chaotic out of there. And we do have Spark of Resilience still in the draft somewhere. If Woah Chills does manage to take this, they get another chance to get some scaling. And it might be, I mean, I'd say definitely in their favor at this point here. X could use anything right now. But Name Chaotic can try to keep Cakes away from the barrier, and does with that Death's Touch, man. Tough situation for Cakes. Nice evade is going to allow them to strike the barrier, or strike the ball away from this goal one more time. ZZZ can't seem to get it past the Fool. Goes in for the bull rush there. Gets the flip. Going to lose a strike war. A really tight situation there from Name Chaotic, who's going to successfully get that one in and bring Polar Coretex that much closer to winning this series.
Yep, that much closer, but this 1 point that Woah Chills needs is huge, right? This X-Era Mako could scale out of control if they get that one opportunity, and KenClam and ZZ, this is this team's home. The Goo variant, Project Obscura is going to be so much for the damage potential of this team as that flip goes barely wide from A.
Yeah, just a tiny bit too wide. Name Chaotic approaching here with that flip. Cakes tries a couple of cooldowns to keep it away, but Name Chaotic's going to successfully grab that barrier. ZZ flying in onto the defense now. Notices that we are in a whole lot of trouble, but you end up clearing the ball. Ends up with this era speed going onto ZZZ now, but looking a little bit weak, and to try to take the Fool down with him. But we do have the heal coming out, and it's going to be ZZZ actually staying alive. The Fool losing a lot of health to this Stinger as Name Chaotic almost makes it in. They actually end up losing, they lose KenClam in the situation. Oh my god, the Blob is going to get it past Cakes. And now Polar Coretex bring it back, almost reverse 3-0 on this set, and that's going to be huge. Last point here. Man, Woah Chills needs to keep it alive.
Yeah, they need to keep it alive. It's so dangerous. If they can get the orb, though, this is a huge pickup for them. But it'll be Name Chaotic instead, who is a massive Rasmus looking to pendulum swing someone off the map, perhaps. But a really good NATO by KenClam might start the damage potential for Woah Chills here.
Yeah, that was great. Actually, basically disabled the Rasmus, and even more now, as ZZ is going to end up taking out Name Chaotic in this huge power play here. This is the chance for Woah Chills to keep themselves alive. Taking off a flip here absolutely keeps that barrier alive, but A keeps winning strike wars against King Clem and ZZZ, which is going to result in 0 barriers for Woah Chills, and now ZZZ is the one who has just about no health, looking really small and sad right now. A looking huge and happy at this point. They have one barrier down though, and now it's gonna be the Fool defending even more against this team here. Though ZZZ losing a strike war there has another chance with King Clam, but now, I mean, look at Polar Cortex on the full defense. They do eventually stun cakes, get him away from the barrier, and now the situation is here where they just don't have a barrier to rely on. A stun combination here with A and is actually not going to be good enough. Name Chaotic can't seem to land that one in, but it's going to go back to Name Chaotic here. Really close situation. Death Touch, Cakes keep it alive. A on the bottom side here, and they're going to keep it alive one more time.
Yeah, dangerous spot once again. 2 barriers to none. Woah Chills on Death's Door still, and that might just be fatal here as the core slips past ZZ one more time. Name Chaotic in position, almost KO'd, but once again, the Cosmic Intervention comes out, and the KO onto ZZZ by the single slime.
That's going to be huge. They have 2 flips here for the side of Polar Cortex. A big one coming in here from Giant Rasmus. Waits it out completely until the flip is all gone. Everyone's used up their cooldowns, their strikes, everything. And Polar Cortex ends up taking that series over Woah Chills in a pretty astounding ending there.
Very, very well played by Polar Cortex. They now advance the qualification match against either the Ballin' Ballers or the Star Breakers. It's sure to be a good one.
Absolutely. Here, let's take a look at some of these stats here, though. Now, we know ZZZ, of course, the killing master here, did in fact do the most damage, did in fact get the most KOs, but honestly, his, like, you could see the redirects, like, their strategy was really exactly that. ZZZ punches the opponents, not really the ball, but he just couldn't find those kills. The Atlas with the extra cooldown with that Celestial Intervention was just too much. Not only does it heal you, but it keeps you alive if you fall off the map there, though. So it's actually a really great pick for the side of Polar Cortex, as they know ZZZ is really going to be trying to knock their heads in. So I'm going to give that one over to Polar Cortex for that nice character pick there. And honestly, they played it well in general. You know, each of those map situations, we saw the Fool blocking midfield as A and Name Chaotic were really putting on the pressure, and that's exactly what you like to see, especially when a character like Mako was just spending the cooldowns to try to really help support the X. And if X is like, you know, staggered and shattered and you can't really do much, well, we're spending the cooldowns to keep the ball forward, not really happening. So really great work from Polar Cortex.
Yep, but we have another series ready and waiting for you guys. Another winners quarterfinal to make it to the qualification match for Liftoff here. It's going to be Atlas's Diversified Resume versus Coconut Catastrophe. 2 very, very long names after this very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.